excited for this panel. How many Spy Family fans are in the room tonight? Make some noise. Yes. All right, well, right now, it's my pleasure, my honor to introduce to you the stars of Spy Family. You know them, you love them. Please give them a nice warm welcome. Make some noise for Megan Shipman and Natalie Van Sistine.
Hi. Hello.
All right.
Successfully mounted the chair.
Yeah. I've crawled up the chair mountain.
You did it. You made it. Yes. Welcome, welcome. So good to have you here. Welcome to Richmond. I'm sure the folks of Richmond are super excited for you to be here all weekend long. So you make sure you guys visit them at their table. They'll be here all weekend. But of course, we're here now. This is a dedicated Q&A for the fans. So we will have a dedicated microphone right there in the center of the aisle. We'll be opening up to you for questions. Just want to let you know, please keep it to one question per person. And no A, B, C, D, and E questions. Just keep it to one per person, all right? With that said, welcome. Is this your first time in Richmond?
I think so for me, unless we came when I was much younger. My family, I was homeschooled for a number of years, so we used to do like educational vacations. And I know we were in Virginia at one point, but I don't know if Richmond was part of it. You know, I learned a lot from that trip, clearly.
Clearly, you really retained the information.
I know. Mission accomplished, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. I was telling Natalie, I think I've been here, but I can't remember. It feels like a fever dream, because that Marriott looks really scary familiar. And I'm like, I feel like I've been there.
Deja vu.
Yeah, like I feel like I've been there. I think I have, but it was years ago. So yes, with an asterisk.
Alrighty. Well, if it's your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. It's good to have you.
It might as well be the first time.
Yeah, let's operate on first time as far as we're mentally aware of.
I guess our opportunity or our job is to make it a memorable experience this time around.
Yes.
So let's have some fun this weekend.
I will never forget.
Absolutely. I wanted to talk to you both, of course, about Spy Family, and we're getting close to the year anniversary of the English dub release. It released last April, and I was curious to know if, you know, I'm sure you're both overjoyed with the excitement and emotions of being on a hit show, not knowing as voice actors if it's going to be a hit. And it's a worldwide phenomenon. There's a musical Spy Family. There's a Universal Studios Japan Spy Family ride that you can go, a live action ride. There's so much about Spy Family that's so popular. I was curious to know that a year later from its release, are you still riding that excitement, or have you settled into it?
I mean, I feel like it was about this time last year when we first found out we were going to be in the show, and I just literally feel like I fell into a fever dream at that point, and I've been merrily dissociating with all of you since then, and I hope that doesn't stop, because it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been wild. I don't really know how to put it into words, because, I mean, the first thing they had us do was sit in a room with 2,000 people at Anime Expo, and they were like...
I forgot the first question they asked me. I just sat there like, I don't know
what's happening. Yeah, well, and then...
That was your first panel ever?
Yeah.
Well, in front of a room with 2,000 people?
Yes. Well, for Spy Family, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
right, that's what I mean, for Spy Family.
Yeah, that was... I mean, it was her first panel ever. So, like, they really threw her in. They said, sink or swim. Good luck.
Headlights.
Yeah.
Literally, though.
Yeah. And yeah, but it was fun. It was wild. I was like, oh, it's a lot of people. But it's like one of those things you just kind of take it in stride. And now I have people that, like my father-in-law, he's like, he teaches senior high school economics. So exciting. What a thrill. And he was like, we celebrated some birthdays, and he was like, okay, Megan, will you please bring me a signed thing? There's a child in my class, and he will not stop bugging me. And I said, well, you know, that's your own fault. You've opened that can of worms by telling them that you are now related to me. I'm sorry. You have no one but yourself to blame, but yes, I'll bring you something. He's like, thank you. Thank you so much.
Imagine if you were still a teacher, you'd be dealing with that same energy from your students.
Hope they are all, I love children, please don't get it twisted. I hope those particular children that made my life awful, I hope they look at me now and they go, oh, it's not fair. And I just want to look and gaze upon their faces one day and go, you're right, life's not fair. Because I'm petty. And I'm not a teacher anymore, so I don't have to be nice to you. So, and probably most of them are also graduated now. It's been that long, so, which is weird to think about. But I hope they're better people than they were in 6th grade. They were really not on the right path there. I was like, some of you need a cage. They were feral, like rabid animals.
I can relate. My wife was a teacher for 5th grade, and she also left the profession behind for the same reason. So
they are not children; they are werewolves, and they, when they step into the school, they stop being children, and they shed their little child persona, and they're just like, and then they'll kill you.
Well, Natalie, I don't know how you feel about children in particular, but I know you love dogs.
Yes.
We were just looking at pictures a minute ago of your fur babies.
Yes, yeah, I love small dogs. I usually say the smaller and the fluffier, the better for me. We have 3 Chihuahuas. We just got a new puppy who's named, my partner took one look at this 6-week-old little dog and just went, his name's Honey Badger. So she's a preschool para now, formerly taught 6th grade, which was funny. It was a Title I school too.
She understands.
She was like, yeah, administration was terrible, the parents were terrible, but she had 70 6th graders that would have rode or died for her. It was so funny. They were like, let's go, Miss Fleek! It was great.
See, she was the opposite. It's like once you get them on your side, they will be your little child army.
Yeah. Everything else was terrible, but the kids were.
if not, in my case, it was a not. Yeah. You are the sacrificial lamb.
Oh, you are, and it's a problem. So she has a gift with like she's a child whisperer. Like she's the crocodile hunter of children, literally.
Oh, this one's a beauty. Look at her.
No, she'll literally be like, so this is my problem child I'm working on, and here's how I psychologically manipulated them today.
Look at the incisors on this one. If you get too close, they'll bite down and won't let go.
So
Crikey.
She has the love and gift for children. I try to be as supportive as possible. I just mostly look at them. I'm like, I don't know what to do with you. You're lovely. You're so cute. I love you, but I don't know what I'm doing. Meanwhile, she's just like sizing them up like,
yeah. But you love dogs. And I always point out when we're going somewhere, if I see a tiny dog now, I go, Natalie, look. And then you go,
yeah, you're my dog.
I literally
man.
will point to something, but you're so funny because I'll point and you will look everywhere but where I'm pointing every single time. And I have to go, no, keep going, no, warmer, hot. And finally you're like, oh my God, it's so cute. And then by that time it's like turning the corner. I'm like, well, you could have enjoyed it for more than...
You guys have a great energy together. Like I could feel it, and I want.
We've done this a lot.
But yeah, I was going to ask you because it seems like you guys have a really strong bond. I'm sure that it's only been strengthened by your going to conventions.
It is a good thing we like each other.
Yeah, I was curious to know if you knew each other before SpyxFamily.
Like kind of just through like work acquaintances, like crossing paths a little bit because you sound engineered for a while, so like we kind of crossed paths here and there.
Tatum's class together.
Yeah, we did that together. Yeah, that was wild. You were in that class?
Yes.
Oh. I'm like a horse with blinders.
That's where you told me to buy these sandals.
Oh yeah. And yeah, you wear them nonstop. I love it. Yeah. You're right. That is where I told you to buy them. Yeah.
And now you're like best friends.
Now here we are.
Besties.
Work wives for life. Yeah.
So you went to, and this is for Megan, you went to Louisiana State University.
Yeah, LSU,
and,
go Tigers.
And that's where you began, and not there, but that's when you began your voice acting career.
Yeah.
Now, was there something in the school that there was like some incentive to do voice acting, or someone said, hey, go check this out? Like what got you into it?
No, I'm just crazy. I said, well, because I've always liked anime. Like, I've always been a fan of anime. So I decided to, well, I didn't decide anything. There was a lot of people from Dallas that went to LSU, specifically to the music school, because that's where I was. And it wasn't that big. Like, there was kind of a very small, intimate, like, everyone kind of knew everyone. It was like, if you live in a small town, that was the music school, for better, for worse. But I knew a girl from Dallas, and she like did work at what was Funimation at the time, and she'd done work in high school, and I felt like the biggest like idiot of all time, because she was like, yeah, it's in Dallas, and I went, oh, cool. Didn't know that. I've only lived there my whole life. That's neat. So I asked her, we just kind of talked about doing that because we were stuck on a bus for a week because we were in choir, and we did they take you on the tour, they shove you on a bus, and then they go, all right, we're going to go to these high schools and make all these high school kids want to come over here, that thing. So they shoved us in a bus for a week, and that's where we were trapped. And so we had a good time. We were talking and having fun, and then she kind of introduced me eventually to some people that kind of work there, and I got to do an open audition at Funimation, which was like one of the last ones they did, just because it was right before we moved on to doing simuldubs, which simuldubs just take up more time every week. So that's the only reason why it's not like we've closed our doors forever. That's not it. It's just it takes a lot of time and manpower to do those. So I was really lucky, and then luckily I just got called in for things, and I realized, oh yeah, I like doing this. Yeah, that's what a solid life plan for me. I was like, let's go for music, which is the one. We love kids in the arts. Don't give up your daydream, kids, but also be real. You need to pay your groceries and your bills. And I decided, let's do the jobs that make it the hardest. That was what I decided to do, because I'm smart. And so, but it was great. And so I started just getting called in, and I took classes and workshops, and here I am 10 years later, and I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am.
Well, you're both doing a great job. I mean, you're both fans of anime, obviously. Natalie, I wanted to ask you, what was your gateway anime? Like for me, when I was growing up as a kid, like Dragon Ball Z got me into anime, and I've been in love ever since. What was your gateway anime? And then once you're finished, you can answer as well.
Yeah, what's your gateway?
If we're being realistic, it's Yu-Gi-Oh. So many stupid boys in that show, and I loved all of them.
They're all so dumb, and their big hair.
I was upset.
Except for Kaiba, he's just the little rich kid that everyone.
I was like, man, you give me a continuing storyline and heaps of melodrama. I'm here for it. It was great.
Remember that one time they tried to make dice a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh yeah,
wasn't that wild?
Dice. Yeah, that whole, was that like a 5-episode
yeah, it was weird.
That went off. Great,
wild.
Great thought there. Yu-Gi-Oh was like kind of my gateway, and then I started watching some films, like the Miyazaki films. I started getting into, and I was just talking about this on Twitter. If anyone has ever seen, there's a film from 1997 of The Dog of Flanders. It is stunning, gorgeous. I ugly cry every time. I talked about it on Twitter, and I was like, man, that's such a good movie. And I was like trying to see, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's available on YouTube. And I was like, oh, cool. I was just skimming through it, and then realized I was already ugly crying just skimming through it. And I was like, oh no, I had a pile of tissues for no reason. No. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But the music's so good.
You make a really compelling argument.
Rubin's art. It's great. It's a really good movie. It's beautiful.
What's it called? The Dog of what?
Dog of Flanders.
Well, they had you at dog.
Yeah.
I know. That should have been a sign that it was all over for me, and that dogs would have a chokehold on my life for the rest
Natalie,
of my life.
The trick with getting people to watch dog movies is you're not supposed to tell them
It's sad.
what happens. Well, we all know dog movies are sad, Natalie.
but
that's like the law of
it's
the universe.
Beautiful, and it's about classical art and set in the beautiful countryside. It's got a good classic dub. But then all of that to say, like,
How dare you? There's a dog right there that's so insensitive. How dare you?
that dog is vibing. That dog is having
really
a great
is.
time.
He
The dog is so
Yeah.
chill right now.
He's like, yeah, I'm just here. I'm just chilling.
But honestly, Full Metal Alchemist 2003 was what like really kind of was the like, and now the hole has opened, the abyss
my
is
life
going
is
to
anime.
swallow you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Claws
So that
have
was like
sunken.
the first like, oh, this is what anime can be, and I still prefer that to Brotherhood, which is my unpopular opinion.
We're done here. Goodbye.
Friendship over.
Friendship over. It's fine. We can all be wrong sometimes, Natalie. It's fine.
I know. That's kind of my trajectory, though. Oh, and then I saw Gurren Lagann, and then I was like, I love giant robots.
Oh, now you're in the giant robot show. Look at you.
I know that the work involved in voice acting is strenuous. It's tough. It takes a toll on you. I was curious to know, like, after recording, or is there a special place you go to unwind? Perhaps Chili's.
Yes.
Tell
Every
Rita
day.
it's your birthday
Tell
every
Rita
time.
it's my birthday every time, and she just brings me cake. For those that not in the know, I'm a robot at Chili's.
Yeah, talk about this Chili's robot. Somebody mentioned it to me. and I
So
was
when
like,
you're
okay.
a voice actor and you have an agent like I do, you don't always just audition for anime things. You audition for commercial things. I've done a commercial for Shiner Bach. I've done multiple commercials for egg noodles of all things. Thanks, egg noodles. That was a great paycheck. And then Rita the robot at Chili's, short for Margarita. You know the thing Chili's is famous for, I guess. Not their ribs, but I guess you can't really name
Not
a
their
robot.
food.
I hate
Ribs.
saying my first drink ever was a margarita at Chili's. So you're not far off.
Look, it's a rite of passage at this point. It's fine. No, but yeah, and so I booked that job, and I will always remember like what the audition sides said, because I laughed at it, and I looked at my husband and I went, man, wouldn't that be so funny if I got this one? Wild, because it said we're looking for someone like a fun, upbeat 30-something mom, like Ellen DeGeneres, but less controversial, because she was like having her downfall at the time. So they were like Ellen, but not as divisive. I was like, what? That was the funniest thing I'd ever read in like a copy, in like an audition copy, because normally they all just say the same thing. They're like young, upbeat, like they all say the same thing, but they all think they're being very original. They're not. And they don't really, you have to tell them what they want in your audition, not what it says, because they all say the same thing. But yeah, that was wild. And then I actually booked it, and I went, oh my God. So yeah, no, that was fun. So if you go on TikTok and you can look up Chili's robot, there's a lot of videos. I think I went to Chili's 5 times in the first week with my dad, because my dad is that dad. And every time we sat down and someone would come and sit down next to us, he would go, hey. And they're like, yes, sir? That's my daughter. And they would go, what? And he goes, my daughter, she's right here. She's the robot. And they'd be like, oh my God, like really? And I'm sitting there like, hi, having like my 3rd sandwich that week, and all the manager knows me now. So yeah, it was like, okay, Dad, we've been to Chili's enough. We can stop now. It's fine. But it was fun. It was fun.
Do you have any interesting gigs that you've booked? Like I was the Office Depot elf for a while. So every time you go to an Office Depot, I'd be like pointing the Sharpies, pointing the Post-its, hanging from the ceiling.
Oh my God.
So everybody would be like, yeah, I'm with
That's
Elgin the
where I
elf.
know you from.
I'm the Office Depot elf.
Oh my God.
Calvin.
moving. It's been so many years.
I don't think I have anything quite that memorable. I wish.
You'll get there. Don't worry.
There.
It's only a matter of time.
For me, commercials tend to be medical, technology, finance, or some combination. So like finance software, medical software. So one of my biggest commercial clients is InterSystems. So if you've ever heard that, again, they're like really specialized. So like for some reason, people think like, Natalie, she talks about technology. She knows exactly what she's talking about, and she knows what all of these software things do.
Because you you sound more like a robot than me. It's amazing.
So
talent.
Yeah, so that's what pays my bills other than anime.
Yeah.
I just got a residuals thing in the other day.
Yes.
I was like, hey.
That's amazing. I saw a TikTok, and it was like actors talking about their residuals. Like, yeah, you get a stack like this thick, and you're like, yeah, this is like $8, and this is one stack. And I was like, oof, wow.
Yeah, you go through and cash every single one of those checks, and the bank's just like, again. So
wow, I love this 5-cent check from a commercial that aired in Singapore.
There's I think it's the guy who played Rufio in Hook. He does a residual check lottery on his TikTok. So he'll hold a big stack up and he goes, hey, we're eating steak or we're eating Taco Bell. Let's find out. And he'll open one and then he'll tell you.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what it is. Yeah. Pretty much.
Ante Bosco, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, got it. All right, we're going to talk about some Spy Family. If you want to start lining up right now, with your questions, go ahead. I'm just going to have a moment to give you a chance to line up. You both play awesome characters. You play mother and daughter in the show, Yor and Anya. Now, I'll start with you, Natalie. As Yor, do you use any inspiration from your motherly qualities, taking care of these little puppies and dogs, and do you insert that into your voice acting when you're voicing Yor?
I think if I'm channeling anything, I taught piano for a number of years, so that was like my childcare experience and working with children. So I do feel like some of that energy, that's kind of what I feel like is okay if I'm sitting down trying to explain this concept to, a 7-year-old for the 5th time, what would that sound like? So I think my experience working with children most comes from that background. And I was going to go into music education. We almost made that decision twice.
You good. You dodged a bullet.
And I actually got into voice acting because that ended up not being feasible because of some health issues. So it worked out for the best, but we almost went that way for a minute.
And Megan, do you find it easy to voice a 4-year-old with your disdain for children?
Look, I prefaced this whole thing with I don't hate children. I love them when they're not treating me like I'm Satan and they want to sacrifice me to the gods. I love being a 4-year-old. I find it comes naturally, for I am just a child at heart. And I'm very devious, as Natalie knows. I'm full of bad ideas. Or she's like, we shouldn't do this. And I go, I think we should, Natalie. She's like, no, Megan, we cannot do that. And I go, well, we could. so I tempt fate. But no, yeah, I love being a little child. She's fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for the opportunity just to chat it up with you, sit next to you. I could just as well be down there with them, being a fan of your work. So thank you so much for being here. And of course, now I want to turn it over to the crowd with your amazing fan questions. So step up to the mic. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Jesse. I would like to know, how excited are you for season 2 and the movie?
I'm so excited. I mean, when is it going to happen? I don't know. People are like, you don't know? And I'm like, no, I don't know. I know nothing. It's above my pay grade. I get nothing. They don't tell us anything. But yeah, I'm excited because I don't know. It's just like you kind of miss it. And when you know there's more coming, you're just like, give it to me now. And it's even worse when you're in the show and you're like, I want to do it now. Please. So yeah.
Yeah, I broke, and I finally got the Shonen Jump app so I could start reading ahead. Because I had all the physical manga, but we're behind like a couple of volumes. And I was like, I can't wait. I want to know more.
You impatient child.
So yeah, and also like the movie too was really cool because a year or two ago just kind of people were talking about like manifesting, and there's a certain degree of whether, how effective that is and how public that needs to be. But I was like, for myself, there's a couple of things I'd love to do in my career. So I just put a little notes app and I made a list that I can check off. And one of the things is just like, I just want to be in something that goes to theaters. And I had still not done that yet. And then I find out that SpyxFamily has a theatrical or has a movie coming out, and I go, well, that's one way to make that happen.
Yeah.
So that was just a really cool little one where I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to cross that off this year. That'll be fun. So I'm excited for that perspective.
Yeah. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you so much for your question. All right, step on up to the microphone. What's your name and what's your question?
Good afternoon. My name is Avery. First, I just want to take a moment and say, not only do I remember the part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they tried to add the dice game, but you might want to know it is the one time the villain actually sat there and said, "This can't be real," and was told to look at the rule book in the entire franchise when they added the dice.
See, the dice is really iconic. It was a big moment in Yu-Gi-Oh! history.
Multiple important.
The one time anyone ever said, "No, this can't be real," and was told to look at the rule book.
I love that. Thank you.
Amazing.
I hope it shows just some of the gratitude for how much your work has meant to me over the years.
Thank you.
And my dumb geeky nerd question. I know people did a lot of dumb fan art, especially of like Anya with the dog from Berserk and all that. But here's my question: what would it be like if Charles Xavier ever visited the Forager home to ask Anya to go to his school for gifted youngsters?
Oh,
That's a great question.
well, I think that would. I feel like Yor and Lloyd would just be like, "What are you talking about? How is she
She's
gifted?"
not gifted. She dove into a pool and she can't even swim. She's a genius.
I feel like that would be an entirely separate, like, sneaking, or like, just like, he's like, don't worry about it, I'll take her. And then they have to hide that she's...
I'll take her off your hands. They're like, no, but she has to go to this school. And he's like, no. She definitely does not need to go to this school.
I imagine that both Yor and Lloyd recognize Wolverine as Weapon X or Logan respectively, and he's just laughing inwardly the whole time that they don't know what the other is.
Yeah.
That would be...
I love it. They're all so stupid, and I love them. I say it lovingly, like they are just all like
lovingly oblivious.
Lovingly oblivious,
Yes.
and I love that for them.
Thank you so much for your question. All right, hi, step up. What's your name and what's your question?
My name's Elijah, and I'd like to know how you felt about the penguin.
Oh, the penguin? He's my favorite.
penguin.
I love Anya's toys. I love anytime I get to do scenes where Anya is just playing and she gets to be all of them, which means I get to be all of them. And so it's just fun to sit there and do a million voices and they're like, all right, we have to go through this scene 5 times.
I'm not talking about the toy penguin. I'm talking about the poor penguin. From the operation at the aquarium.
Yeah, that poor penguin. Poor guy. You know, he tried. He tried his hardest, but it's fine. It's fine. He's still living his best life in that aquarium, eating fish. I love that when Anya reads minds, she can. That was my other favorite thing about that episode was like she can read the penguins' minds, and they're all just going. Fish, 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 fish.
All they care about.
That was like the one Wallace session. I was like, God, I would pay anything to be in that Wallace session. That would have been great. But yeah, that penguin, he lives on in my heart.
All right, thank you so much, Elijah. All right, hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Amelia, and what was your favorite episode in Spy Times Family?
My favorite episode. We always say the same one. It's the castle episode. We love the castle episode. It's good. It's good fun. It's good animation. It's good everything. Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah, love the castle episode. I also really love when Yuri comes over for dinner for the first time, and just the way that whole situation melts down to just absolute pristine sludge. It's great, and just the dysfunctional, loving family that is all of them all together. And that whole thing. I laughed out loud so hard when Yuri ran into the wall when he was like, "I'll get you next time," and then slam. So that was one of the times we're watching the sub at home before I went in to record. I actually like scream laughed because I thought that was so funny.
Amazing.
So I love that episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hello. I hope I'm close enough. My name is Veronica. First, to you both, I hope your stay in Virginia so far has been great.
Lovely.
I fortunately got to see you both at GalaxyCon in Raleigh, North Carolina last year.
Oh, awesome.
And I remember that you both had mentioned that you had opportunities to direct scenes or certain episodes for season 1.
Yeah.
And since the release of season 1 part 2, I've been constantly curious, particularly about the tennis scene, if either of you got to direct any further scenes or episodes since then.
Yeah, I actually was the assistant director for part 2 as well, so I was all up in there. That and Pop Team Epic season 2, which that is mind melting. Let me tell you that. I know it's fun when you watch Pop Team Epic. All right, if you all know what Pop Team Epic is, and it's just like it's good fun. But when you have to watch it 12 times. It's not so fun anymore.
But we did have fun learning about that amusement park in Japan.
That was what. This is not at all what you were asking. No. But in Pop Team Epic in season 2, they make fun of this. They do a parody of this amusement park that is based on Brazil.
In Japan.
In Japan, it's a Brazilian theme park in Japan.
What are the attractions at the Brazilian theme park?
And it's still around. I don't know. It is
a lot of time on that website, though.
Yeah, it was wild. Because I was like, "There's no way this is real," but it's real. There's like they have dancers. They have bingo every week. So you can go to bingo because apparently bingo's.
They had one of those like sky roller coasters.
They had one of those things that looked like it would collapse at any moment. It was wild, but anyways, back to Spy Family. Now I'm gonna think about what that theme park was, and I could ask Susie. Susie was in that
that's
episode.
right.
Maybe I could ask her.
We've got the whole team.
Yeah, we do. We have everyone. But yeah, I got to assistant direct a lot of part 2. So I directed. I directed a lot of Lindsay Seidel, so like all the tennis game, and y'all need to tell Lindsay how much you love her when you see her, because she was such a trooper doing that, because she was doing all of that with basically almost no voice. And we did have one episode where we had a voice match for her, but she was a trooper. So if you loved her performance, please tell her, because I was like, please go home and stop talking. And she was like, I'm fine. I was like, no, you're not fine. But she was a trooper. She was really great. And she's hilarious too. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff I did. Did we do anything?
Oh gosh.
I mean, other than like the drunks, your scene. In like
part 2, like I think we did a little bit in part 2, but I don't think anything like quite as
no, because I was
memorable.
mainly working nights. So like I think you would come in a day, and you were like, I'm not coming in after 6. Goodbye.
I did,
which is normal.
I did the dinner where she punches Twilight with Aaron.
Yeah,
But I think that was like one of the main ones.
Yeah, that's probably when I was like starting to go to cons, and I was like, I'm out. Goodbye. But yeah. So I got to do a lot of part 2. That was wild. It was fun. It was really fun. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I never forgot the fact that I will always view Anya in the director's seat.
It's me. Yeah. Can you? Someone should draw that.
That would be pretty great.
Thank you.
Me lording over Chris. Can you imagine?
Thank you for your question. All right, hi, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Miles, and the question I wanted to ask you both is, what was the most challenging aspect of voicing your respective characters?
I think for me, it was, I think I want to get the comedy bits down as funnily as possible, because whenever we listen to how it's done in the Japanese audio, like the Seiyu who plays Yor is so funny. She, like, even if I don't understand the exact meaning of what she's saying, like her vocal quality, her little things she adds into the performance are wonderful. And for me, I think one of the challenging things is trying to capture that in English in some way that still lives up to that performance and is as funny and vibrant as she is. So I think for me, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, kind of the same here. It's one of those things where they are so funny, and especially for Anya. Anya's just funny all the time. So it is one of those things where it's like we watch it and we want to just make it as good as their performance, which is, you know, sometimes you put a little too much pressure on yourself, but you just want it to be really good. And for Anya in particular, I always tell people that it was really about finding her voice. Was now I can just do it, but like episode 1, 2, 3, you know, we're trying to find her voice and keep her consistent. And it was really not too much of a struggle, but you had to be very conscious of making sure she sounded young, but not too young, because you need to be able to understand what she's saying. Also, you don't want her to sound too old, so you know she can't sound like an 8-year-old. She has to sound like a 5-year-old, which is very different. And so, yeah, and doing all of that while also keeping it in a certain voice. So yeah, it's like a bunch of things to keep in mind. I mean, now I just do it. And then, yeah, in season 2, they really were like, they just made her a little psychotic in part 2. I don't know what it is. They just love drawing her with those big eyes, you know, that she stares into your soul. That was like her default in part 2. I was like, I think it's just easier for you to draw this face on her, so you just draw it all the time. But I'm not complaining.
Mean, if it makes them laugh as much as it makes us laugh, that might also.
She'll just be in the background going. I was like, okay, go to bed, Anya. Go to bed. But yeah, no, yeah. So that's kind of the thing with Anya, is making sure she's just young enough and cute.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks for your question. All right, Stepon Up. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Trinket?
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, this is my first one.
You're doing great. You're great. You're fine.
So, with your respective characters, what was something that you kind of knew was coming up, either like a character arc or a particular scene or something that you knew was going to happen that you were just really excited for, and like, oh my gosh, could we just please get to this part where I do this thing? Like, I'm so excited to get in the studio today and do this thing.
I was so excited to punch Damien in the face. I was so excited. Mainly because it's funny. And then what she says after is even funnier, because she's like, they're like, Anya, did you do this? And she's like, he just ran into my fist. It's not my fault. And Becky's like, oh my God, my hero. It's like so funny. And I'm like, wow, that is such a toddler answer. I put my hand out. He just ran into it, even though she like Goku, like Super
massive.
Saiyan.
It's a great
wild.
punch. Yeah.
Wild times. So yeah.
For me, I think it was probably, again, the dinner when Yuri comes over, because I knew that was going to be hysterical, and that was like one of my favorite parts of the manga. The one I've been holding out for, and I'm so excited, they finally teased it in the teaser for season 2. They are finally doing the special bonus episode where Yor gets shot in the butt and has to go on a date with Twilight, and I am so excited, you guys.
It's amazing. It is so funny.
I cannot wait.
You're going to love it. We haven't even done it, but I'm like, you're going to love it.
That's where I am mentally right now, is just preparing for that.
Yay. Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your question. All right, hi, Stepon Up. What's your name and what's your question?
Right, my name is Will, and what is your favorite part about voicing your characters?
I love getting to do both parts of Yor, where she's very goofy and insecure, but then also she can flip and then be very, very like assertive and just total secret assassin mode. Like I love being able to play two parts and like two totally different sides of one character and how I can make those all work together. It's a fun challenge and I enjoy that.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, but I love when Anya just is like in her brain doing her own thing, and she's either playing pretend with her animals, or my new favorite thing, when she is like, especially in part 2, where she's like scheming and plotting to get Damien to invite her over to his house every time, and she just goes, she has these vivid fantasies where she is like, and then Damien will say this, and then I get to just be like, and then Anya, wow, Anya, your dog is so cool, it's amazing, and then Anya's like, well, thank you, and then yeah, it's just like wild, like getting to do them all. It's because she's silly, but I love that. Getting to do like all of that is so funny, because then it's also like, sorry, Caitlin, I don't think you actually sound like that as Damien, but that's what Anya thinks you sound like, so I'm sorry. But yeah, those are my favorites.
All right, thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
All right, hi, step on up to the mic.
Hi.
What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Gwen, and my question is, do you have a favorite character other than your own respective characters?
Yes. I like, it's hard to pick, so I have like 3. I like Damien, and I like Bond, and I like Frankie. And I say it's hard to pick because each character is so different and like fits into this, they're their own little puzzle piece that fits into the story. So that's why I'm like, I can't just pick one. But yeah, those are my 3.
Yeah, they're all pretty great, but I also really love Frankie, especially. It seems like every single episode or chapter that he's in, it just gets, the comedy just amps up like
Anytime we see a Frankie cosplayer, we're always like, yeah, Frankie! Yes. And they're always like the most chill person in the whole group.
They are.
It's like they're like, yeah, I just got roped into doing this. It was easy.
They saw my hair and it was all over
It was all
after
over.
that.
I had to do it. So yeah, we love
That Frankie was originally supposed to be the uncle, but then they changed it because it would make the story aspect really hard to understand.
Oh, Frankie Franklin. I love that his name is Frankie Franklin. Mm-hmm. I didn't believe Anthony at first when he was like, yeah, his name's Frankie Franklin. And
I think there's a note about that he made it up, that was his best attempt, maybe.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me. Frankie he's a genius.
In specific ways.
Yes. Oh my gosh, well, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Well, I was wondering, I guess before SpyxFamily started coming out, what was the stuff that got changed? Frankie being an uncle, but then turning into the spy assistant man.
I don't know. I don't know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that got changed. I would have to go into my mangas and read more of that too.
For one thing, in the manga, didn't the whole castle extravaganza, wasn't that a lot
that was a lot
smaller?
shorter. Yeah, it was only like a page or 2. I think it was just a little.
That was one of the benefits of we have more money. Let's go.
I made a whole episode out of just that 1-2 page thing.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, it was really great. I love it when they do stuff like that because I think that episode really encapsulates how to elaborate on something a manga has or your source material has, while still being really true to your source material without taking it off the rails and then everyone's like, why are we over here? But yeah, no, I think that's one of my favorite examples of yes, this is peak adaptation.
I think they also totally invented when Yor drops off Anya's lunch and she parkours across the city. I think that was brand new.
That
for
was
the
brand new, I think,
too.
yeah.
And that was one of those ones where I was like, oh man, that's fun. But did we lose the shot in the butt episode because of this? Is this what we got
instead? You were so mad. You were like, they don't let Yor get shot in the butt.
But thankfully, they're appeasing me now.
Yeah. They were like, "Oh, we got to put this in for Natalie. Don't forget it.
I will fly to Japan.
Fly. Yes.
Cool. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
All right, Stepon Up. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hi, I'm Sai, and the question I have is, do you draw inspiration from any other anime like My Hero Academia?
I don't know. I've never voiced a child like Anya before, and she's not really anywhere else. You know, it's hard because, yes, there are other children, but she's so specific in how she is that I don't know if I like drew from anything. It was just kind of like, and that's her voice. So.
Because you voiced La Brava as well, right?
Yeah.
In My Hero, but it's a different voice.
Yeah, I mean, they're all really tiny and cute little voices, and it's like, oh my gosh, hi, wah, 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 wah. And I always tell people, I'm like, Anya's like if you were talking to a baby and you were like, hello, little baby. Oh, you're so cute. And then you just made it really obnoxious, and you said, hello, little baby. And that's Anya. And she would yell at a sleeping baby. That's the most Anya thing. That was, shh, Anya. She's like, what? So, yeah.
I think yours pretty distinct and different from a lot of things I've done. When I even approached the audition, I thought all I knew about her was the kind of assassin personality. So I thought, oh, well, I've done like cool, like assassin, sniper, like that type of cool voice. That's what I tried going in with. And I went, hang on a minute, this does not sound like that's what this character, all that's going on with this character. And because may I have the honor of taking your life this evening line. I was like, okay, cool, I know exactly what I'm doing with that. But the rest of it, I was like, that does not sound like a cool, confident assassin. Turns out, we fortunately had a copy of the manga in the house. I read it and I went, oh, she's nervous wreck. Got it. Okay, cool.
She has problems.
And then I just kind of went in with that energy that I'd gotten from reading the manga and kind of came up with her voice. She ended up going a lot higher. Originally, I thought she was going to be very, like her assassin voice where it's lower and more calm. I thought that was going to be her across the board. And I was like, no, if she's going to sound nervous, she's got to go up in pitch. She's got to be breathier, more nervous. And
We're nervous.
We're nervous all the time. Yeah, so that was kind of how I came up with her. So, you usually have like a kind of starting point, but then the more you get to know the character or the more you learn about the character, you kind of grow into them. Yeah, I think they might start from the same place, but they always end up in a different, going off somewhere you never expect.
They eventually end up all having kind of their own place where they all live in your voice, as odd as that sounds. So yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your question. All right, we have enough time for these last couple questions. So, hi, what's your name?
My name's Aaron.
Hi.
I wanted to know, since you have been reading the manga ahead, what is the arc you're looking most forward to dubbing?
Cruise ship. Yes, the cruise ship, big time. I want to do fight scenes so bad, you guys.
I've seen spoilers for like really far ahead. And that big thing that if you know, that big thing that just happened at school, I was like, wow, that's really dark, but okay. But of course, Anya's like, whatever. It's like, oh, okay, Anya. I'm excited for that. If you know, I don't want to spoil it because it's like, okay. It is like you say it to someone. Like when I told you, you were like, oh. I was like, I know, it's really dark. But it's really good. I'm excited for that one. So yeah. Especially because it's like, the kids are in crisis and then Damien's all nervous and Anya's like, don't worry, it's going to be fun. And he's like, don't touch me! It's great. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, we got our last two questions here. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Michael, and I have a question about literally the fact that you all have different character voices for the English dub. I've only seen the English dub version of SpyxFamily for part 1 and part 2. But what's your favorite moment for each character you've voiced in the English dub for the ones you respectively voice? In both seasons.
Like our favorite moments.
Like when you voice them, like when you've had to do those certain scenes and everything.
I love Drunk Yor. Pretty much whenever Drunk Yor shows up, those are a lot of fun because you just start slurring and you're just like, I love everybody and I just don't want anyone to fight. But also I'm very nervous about everything and overthink everything. And I love, like, she already barely has a filter, especially when you get her inner monologues, and then the filter just goes completely away and she's just, I love it.
Yeah, I love, I just had it and I went, goodbye, out of my head. What was I going to say? Oh, anytime Anya is like scheming or she's at school and she's trying to look really cool. And so she talks with that like attitude, you know, she's like, I don't know, Becky, I'm just really cool. And you're like, okay. And even Becky's like, sure. You're just poor. That's fine. You have a lot of confidence for a poor person. Love Becky. But yeah, those are like some of my favorites when she's just trying to be really cool, smooth, suave, and she's not. But yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your question.
Well, so, did you voice the character too?
For me, no.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't. I'm just here being the host of this show right now.
He was an elf.
I was the Office Depot elf, though. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an elf. So.
Thank you so much.
You.
All right, and our final question. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Jenna, and I would like to ask, if you didn't voice your own character, who would you voice?
I always tell people I would voice Ewan with the big teeth that follows Damien around. Macy is so funny. She voices him, and we crack up every time we hear her because she goes, oh, it's excellent, Damien. And like you can just like hear so much teeth. It's great. And I wish I could do half of that.
She's so funny. I love Macy. I think Fiona would be really, really fun to play too because she's crazy.
And by crazy, like not like, oh wow, she's wild and fun. Like no, she's like certified psycho.
Yeah, she seems like a really fun character that I could also see.
All right.
Yay.
All right, thank you so much for your
We
question.
did it.
And we did it, folks. That was our Spy Family panel. We hope you enjoyed it.